All right, welcome back, YouTube. I decided to do a live on the my last video of 2024. So I want to make some announcements, a few of them for some of the new things coming toward the end of the video. But other than that, it's going to be a normal video. And then, of course, we'll do some converse here in the chat section if you have any questions or things you'd like to say. So overall, I wanted to start with CoinMarketCap before we take a look at any of the charts. And I want to point out something very interesting here is that the Fear Greed Index has cooled off tremendously for crypto. And I want to point out the fact that as far as for market cap, compared to the high, we peaked around 4 trillion roughly. But overall, the numbers that we're holding for us to reach a neutral state with the Fear and Greed Index, I believe, is very important here. Something that we should watch going forward for people saying that the crypto market has peaked and that we're not going to have that historic run due to in Q1 of 2025. I think this is something to be noted that the numbers are holding relatively well, and for us to hold over 80% of the overall market cap from around 4 trillion and already be in the neutral state here. So we're holding really well here and not having those strong sell-offs that we saw when we typically have those peaks here. That's one of numerous reasons why I don't believe we're going to peak, but historically, I think we're going to align with having that run in Q1. Overall, if we look here at Doge here on the 1 hour and the 24 hours, obviously we're up 11.11% on the 1 hour, 2.42% on the 24 hour. Over 2.1 billion in volume in the last 24 hours. Not a divergence here overall with the last 7 days compared to other coins here in the top 10. So most of them have sold off. If you're looking at some of like the even some of the stable coins, you'll see red overall, but nothing that is alarming or a big divergence here from a lot of the coins and profit taking place here. I mentioned this in my group earlier that this is to be expected toward the end of the year. You're going to see, especially having 2 historic years of over 20% returns in the market, there's going to be some profit taking, tax loss harvesting, a lot of things here happening toward the end of the year before we make that transition into 2025. So nothing abnormal there. What we're just going to be looking to see how much we align as we transition into Q1 with a lot of those historic runs. So it's going to be one of the things I'm going to be charting heavily in January and February, making sure that we're on track here to move. But overall, nothing alarming happening here, at least in some of our macros. We're going to convert over. Let's go to trading view. I'm going to take a look here at some of the charts. And for those of you who watched my last videos, one of the things that we were talking about was where was Dogecoin going to establish that support area? Where were we going to build out a floor or an agreement between buyers and sellers, right? And because here is gap territory. So as far as for where that agreement happens, it can technically happen anywhere, but I love the fact that it's happening around that 30 cents mark. And this is something that is, it's a little bit more difficult to pinpoint just because typically if you're in a gap zone, those typically fill and you'll either go from one extreme to the other. But sometimes, especially when things are pivotal, you can have an agreement between buyers and sellers where the market determines, hey, this is a fair price for this asset. Now, I know a lot of people have been wondering if we're going to have like some of these major sell-offs in the market, or is it a potential that we can have a still continue in the red going into January? The short answer to that is it's yes, but it's not indicative of the overall trend. Again, we're seeing this in the stock market as well. I don't believe that 2025 is necessary, at least the complete year of 2025. I don't believe it's going to be a red year. I think it's highly probable that we're going to see some continued growth here for at least, I say, into Q3 before we start seeing some major sell-offs here. I'll talk about that in a separate video, but I think it's highly probable that we're going to see continued growth into 2025 for the most of the year. And I think that for the next week or two, it's possible that we can see some of these lower levels be tested in Doge and Bitcoin. And we're going to talk about that in a moment. So one thing that we're looking at here is this yellow line is the 14-day, orange is the 72. You can see here we're about to have a cross here. Now, is that if we do get this cross and we have a push downs at the end of the world? Absolutely not, because this is because we've agreed, at least the market up until now has agreed that around 30 cents is fair value for this asset. And you can find strong evidence here of, if you take a look at your charts around December 20th, we had a push down to in the 20 cent, mid 20 range. But that is not where we closed. We actually closed green on the day. The buying pressure, this long wick that you're seeing here on the 20th is buying pressure. This is where the sell-off pushed the asset and buying pressure pushed it back up so much that the day candle still closed green. So this is kind of where we build out that sentiment as far as for how strong this 30-cent floor is. And the floor is really strong here going forward. And I think that this is going to be a really big point for Doge going forward, and for a lot of these assets, especially if you look at some of the bigger assets like Bitcoin and a lot of the macro here for the news. You're going to see things that determine how strong these assets are and kind of to go forward. So I think this is going to be really big, and I think that we're going to see some big pushes here overall for crypto. So let's take a look here at, let's see, I want to kind of move over to Bitcoin. So, because I think this is going to be really important for getting an idea over. And just for, I'm going to take a look at the chat. When I'm flipping through screens, it's not necessarily me ignoring you, but the chat section. I see you guys are posting comments. I'll take a look in a moment, and then we can have some conversations. Give me one sec. Oh, Happy New Year. Yeah, absolutely. Happy New Year for everyone. We're going to talk in a moment. I wanted to pull up Bitcoin here for Doge. Use Coinbase. So Bitcoin, hopefully you all can see that. Let me send a message here. So right now we're at around 93,000. And again, this kind of leads to my point that I made earlier in the video, is the fact that we have not had any major sell-offs, and not necessarily major sell-off, but we have not had a pivotal sell-off like we typically do when the market has peaked. And we have not had that big push down where we're seeing, okay, well, this is like the major liquidity is being taken, and we've went from greed to fear. If you look at the fear greed index on CoinMarketCap, it's currently neutral. So let me see. Excuse me one sec. Okay. So one sec. And so when it comes to Bitcoin, you're going to want to look at a few things here. Now, we're not as close as we are with the 1472 in Dogecoin, because we're technically already crossing there. There's still a bit of a gap here between the 1472 for Bitcoin, but it is on a similar path, right? But we have the support here at around that 91,000 mark. This 91,000 mark is proving to be like the equivalent of a Dogecoin 30 cents mark, right? And this is where we've been able to grab liquidity from, do some additional testing, do some breakthroughs here. This has all happened from this mark. So breaking below this would kind of be what I'd be looking for before I started to say, okay, well, Doge is going below 30 cents, and we're going to have some closure down in that range. So remember, wicks, price action, those things here, we're typically looking for, especially if you're long term, you're looking for closures and not necessarily being too involved in the price action or things that happen when you're trading news or hopium. These are things that influence a lot of the short-term price actions. You're going to be looking for some stronger signals here, and more importantly, looking at where these candles are closing to kind of get like an idea. So This is going to be a very pivotal point here, I think, because even if we did, I think this would kind of be a nice setup to have that major run. If we had something where like we had like a 1472 kind of merge and trend sideways, have a little dip below on the 14, and then get that bullish signal, that cross back to the upside, and then we kind of push the entire market higher. Obviously, Bitcoin plays a big part in that, being a major, well, not even a major, being the major liquidity holder for the crypto. I think it's very telling just to kind of keep an eye on that and where things are going to go forward. So I want to take a look here in the comment section. I know I've been yapping for about 11 minutes, so I'm going to post Happy New Year. And if you have some comments, questions, or anything, I will respond. Let's see. Striker, last buying opportunity. No, I wouldn't necessarily say that, especially if you're long term, if you're looking at some of the developments. I think that we're not necessarily, just because we're converting over to 2025, I don't think this is going to be just like, oh, it's 2025 now, let's start the Q1 bull run. And then so we wake up tomorrow and things are going to the heavens. No, I think that we could potentially have some more sideways action and even retest a little lower here. Some of those lower levels, especially if we get that break below 91,000. But overall, especially as we get that break below 91,000 in Bitcoin, I think that we can see that Dogecoin kind of retest below 30 cents at around that 26 cents mark. But overall, I think that we'll have a better idea of how strong the movement is going to be around mid-January going forward. Because keep in mind, typically speaking, we're talking late Q1, Q2, as far if we're following 4-year cycles, as far as the expectations of runs. So we have a few months before we're talking about the blow off top or peak bull run, things like that. We have a few months before that comes there. So we certainly have some time here. Department of Government Efficiency. Yeah, I'm really, I can't even lie, I'm really excited to see some of these numbers come back. I believe, I'm a strong believer that the government should have been audited in a lot of areas, in particularly the Department of Defense. I believe they've lost a few $1 trillion at this point, where they've misplaced or they're not sure where it's at. So I'm really curious about some of these audits coming back. Absolutely. Any thoughts on Robinhood Doge giveaway with no selling for 1 year? I think that's, honestly, I actually missed that giveaway by a couple of minutes, but I actually think that's pretty good. It's pretty good. I think they're doing something similar where a few weeks ago, where if you signed up for gold, you split a pot of $1 million or something like that, but you have to be a gold member for a year. It's pretty standard because what would happen is typically people would basically get free money, whether if you give it to them in Doge or any other coin, and they just want the money. So they're going to dump it and sell it. So this is more so about, being able to get marketing, bring new clients to the platform, and hopefully get them to invest and grow and intrigue their interest with these free assets that they're giving out, something like a Dogecoin, and you're able to see it kind of grow here like we're expecting over the next couple of months. And you'll say, oh, okay, well, it's growing here, let me invest more, and kind of get you into investing. So that's actually pretty protocol here for when they do these large giveaways. As far as for capital wise, they'll typically want to try and not just have everybody dump and leave the platform, because otherwise you don't have a reason to engage with the platform, because you just sell and take the money off and go on about your business. So it's pretty standard. Let's see. Is it true that Department of Government Efficiency can set a downtrend when Elon starts cutting back? I've heard a few cases for that. And if it would, I guess it's kind of alluding to the point where if it was so effective immediately that it'll just start, curving back like inflation. And then we can start to see some pivots in some major components in the economy. And we can start to see some of the things start scaling back, like the several of the industries that we use to monitor like core inflation, that we can start like a downtrend. I personally don't think it'll be effective that quickly. I think more so it's to kind of expose what's going on so we can be aware and make some bigger changes here in macro, whether that be changing things up in Congress, how they ran, changing a lot of the things that happen behind the curtains as far as for transparency with where funds are being allocated, where they have been allocated, and and kind of having more of a two-way street versus we vote on the issues that are being put in front of you, and then a lot of the decisions are being made under the table or even off the table, and that's how a lot of this money is coming up missing. So is it possible? Yes, if it's extremely effective. Again, we're going to have to see that, and based off of how they present the information. Are they going to just come out and just do a press conference and say, see, look, they've been stealing, and just cause panic and everybody sells and stuff like that? I don't think they're necessarily going to do that, but it's certainly possible. I just think it's unlikely, but I think it's just going to overall just improve the transparency, and we can kind of make changes here in the macro over a period of time. I think that would be the better approach. But, again, I could be wrong. They could certainly come out and say, see, look, we got them, but it's unlikely in my opinion. You did the Robinhood giveaway. We will see. Absolutely. Yeah. Because I plan on doing more lives here. I'm going to do some announcements here in a moment. I'm not going to be on here too long. We're almost at 20 minutes, but let us know, especially in one of the community sections or even in the next video. Let us know how that works out. I imagine it'll be on X as well. So I want to do some, let's see, hold on. This is a great question. Are we still expecting, let's see, 8 to 10 trillion for the top? Yeah, I'm still expecting. That was, so I'm expecting a couple of things now. So initially, I was thinking that we were going to hit around 10 trillion here for market cap at the top of the market here. But now that we're seeing a lot of institutions come in, I'm questioning whether or not we're going to go back to a true 4-year cycle like we have been. Obviously, Bitcoin halving and all that plays a big part in that, and why there's these runs here and these pushes and reallocations and resets and stuff. But if we have a period of or transition to the point where it's not necessarily just retailers chasing profit, but we have institutions doing these extreme buy and holds or doing long terms or these reserves in certain cryptos, are they going to do these sell-offs? Is there going to be more? I believe, honestly, we're going to see a stabilization here. If not this cycle, then certainly by the next, certainly by 2028. I believe we're going to see a stabilization in prices, and we know these market caps are going to continue to climb more dramatically and not have those 50+% sell-offs. I would definitely think that we're still going to hit somewhere around 8 to 10 trillion. As far as for total market cap, I think that we are going to see at least another 50 to 100K as far as for added to Bitcoin's market cap. So we're definitely going to hit some of these higher numbers here. I really believe that we're going to see Bitcoin make a run. Not necessarily believe it's going to hold 200K, but we're certainly going to make a run deep into the 6-figure range here for Bitcoin. So well above where the numbers we've seen here. And I think, obviously the coins in the top 10 are going to follow here, and that's certainly including Dogecoin. So I believe we're still going to be in that 8 to 10 range for sure. Let's see. What do you think about David Sachs getting crypto regulation? What's that going to look like, you think? Well, even if we're looking at regulation, for the most part, even if you've been following the channel for a few years here, it depends on what kind of regulation. Obviously, I believe crypto does need regulation, has needed regulation for quite some time. I'd have to see if you want to post a more specific question. I have to answer it that way, because I'm not sure if it's a particular kind of regulation you're gearing toward or around this situation. But we definitely do need a regulation here just for I believe what we saw in 2020 with the exchanges. I think this is going to be better because obviously we have a more consolidated approach when it comes to these exchanges, and we don't have exchanges going bankrupt every 2 days and stuff like that. Or, these rug pulls that happen in the market. You've seen things like with the hot Tua coin, and it's not the first one. Obviously, this has happened, since, I'll say it had probably peaked in 2020, but 2020, 2021, these things happen all the time. I believe there should be some more accountability there, and even just warnings to kind of educate people versus everyone's first experience with a rug pull, if you're not doing a lot of research, is you were obviously taken for a ride in there. So it depends on what kind of regulation, but I do believe there needs to be some form of regulation. Absolutely. So some of the announcements, I'm going to put my email in the chat because I'm going to do some things a little differently in 2025, and I'm going to obviously have some longer form content. We're going to do some lives, and if you want to come on, kind of like where I am right now, how you see like the chart, or you see like my picture off to the side, if you want to come on the channel and we have a conversation around certain topics, and whether it being like in crypto or in charts, I'm going to give some of you guys the opportunity to do that. So if you believe you're versed in crypto or have something you want to share, please consider that and send me an email. That's what you email right there in the chat. nofluff2021@gmail.com. If you want to be considered for that, please send an email. I'll be responding. I put it on X and in my community section a few days ago. I've been responding to those emails. So just look back and check your email, and we'll set something up here, and you guys will get some dates, and then we can have kind of like a two-way street here on some of the days here going forward in 2025. It's one of the things I kind of want to experiment with, so that we can have like just a better relationship, and I can kind of keep my ear to the ground with what everybody's feeling and thinking. So I think it'll be an interesting change for the channel and for the community. So that's one of the things. Also, we're going to have like the audio for around certain topics and things be posted like in a podcast form as well. So if you just wanted to listen, whether we're covering data, it's going to be available. So I think that'll help as well. If you're not in a position where you're able to actually watch the video, that's something that's going to be coming in 2025 as well. I will post a list of all the changes in the community section. So that way you guys can be on top of everything. If you have any questions or comments, please don't feel free to comment those under the video or in the community section. I want to get a few of you, especially for the first video, maybe like 3 to 5 of you, so that we can converse here, and we'll set it up. Maybe we even have like a thing where you can call in or something. I'll set it up and we'll kind of play it by ear to kind of see what works best. But hopefully by Q2, we'll have the kinks worked out. So we'll have something that kind of flows a little bit natural. Let's see. Saying Bitcoin 200K will certainly help. Absolutely. Bitcoin 200,000 will absolutely help with that market cap getting to the 8 to 10 trillion mark. Absolutely. Let's see. Can you show company stocks? Yeah, we're going to. But it's definitely going to be around that, because if you are on something like my Discord or something, we talk about company stocks. We do option plays. Obviously, those are held in like typically a lot of the popular company stocks, things like Tesla and Apple and all that. So it's definitely a topic that I do discuss, and I will certainly be bringing that to the channel as well. So that'll be something that we can kind of converse here with on the channel as well, because it's something I already do. I just typically don't do it on the channel, so that wouldn't be a hard transition at all. Let's see, where do you invest profits long term? Long term, if you're looking at something more stable, I would just say do something like a Vanguard. That's typically what I do. I use Vanguard, like a VU account, as basically a savings. It's not anything hard. It kind of gets allocated and tracks the market as it is. It's relatively simple to do, just opening up a Vanguard account and use it as a savings. But for the most part, the capital that I have gets reinvested. So even if it's like the options account or trading, stuff like that, it gets reinvested just to grow the account more. And even on the public account that I've been doing with the options, with the Discord, that's just the profits typically just get reinvested and we just grow it bigger. So, and that's what I do with any of the accounts, even with dividends and all that. It just gets reinvested, grow bigger. That's the motto. Let's see here. I'll take a couple more. Let's see. Let's see. You talk about the trust down. Be more specific. What about it? It's a shakedown. What's a shakedown? Sorry, I've been looking at the chat and then talking. So this, when you put questions, it's going to be specific because I could have switched topic a couple of times and I'll have to. Do you think Doge will explode on January 20th? It could be a pump. I don't necessarily say I think it will explode, but I do think that we're going to certainly have an idea of trend direction around mid-January. So it could align perfectly where things are moving smoothly around January 20th. But I do expect that we can see some price action here by mid-January. Let's see. I need you to teach me options trading. Join the Patreon and you'll be in the Discord. I have videos and everything in there, and we will certainly get you into the plays and we'll make money together. You have options trading videos on Patreon. Yes, typically I'll send them to you, but yes, there are videos for options trading. Let's see. How do you plan on dealing with tax gains when taking profits? You'd have to get with, I get with a CPA, one who's familiar with investing, so that you are dealing with your capital gains taxes and, offsetting any losses that you have, unless you're, obviously shooting 100% with your investment strategy. So you're going to want to kind of offset the losses you had and make sure that they are writing them up properly. I'd say the biggest thing, depending on what platform you're dealing with, you want to go through your portfolio line by line and make sure that they're writing it up properly, because especially when it comes to crypto, because what will happen is when they send you your form, it'll look like you got in and made all profit, but they don't necessarily include where you purchase the asset at. So, for example, if you it just mostly report, let's say you bought Bitcoin at $10,000, right, and you sold it at 15,000, right? So you have a gain of 5,000, right? For the most part, depending on, again, this varies by platform to platform, but it'll say sold Bitcoin at $15,000. And then so now it looks like you had a $15,000 profit when you had a $5,000 profit. And also the dates of when you entered these positions matter greatly too, because you're talking about capital gains tax, long-term versus short-term. And you want to make sure that those dates are accurate and they match up so that you're not overpaying something and you're paying a short-term capital gain tax on something that's a long-term capital gains tax, right? If you bought it 2 years ago and now you're just taking profit, you don't be paying short-term capital gains tax. So just kind of look at things like that. Again, I'm not a CPA, but these are very common issues where people end up overpaying and, technically giving away more money than they should in taxes. So just kind of keep that in mind and make sure that you are going through your forms. And I'd say get with a CPA. Let's see. Hopefully Trump makes crypto gains tax-free. That'll be interesting. That'll be interesting for sure. Let's see. Let's see here. Let's see. You have 6 days to sell and buy back, and it will be tax-free if you gain shares. It's a good strategy too. So Dogecoin all the way. Absolutely. That's the one thing he promised. Yeah. Okay. I'm assuming you're talking about Trump and the tax-free gains. Yeah. That'll be interesting. We'll see how that works out. That'll be interesting here. And it'll be interesting, is that for retail or institutions as well? Because we know we have institutions coming in there. And is it going to be tax-free under a certain number, or is it tax-free based off of, if you're a retailer or institution, or, is it tax-free based off of, it's going to be uh, some great points there when it comes down to, with Trump and things, as far as for how much that's going to affect the economy. Because I think that even if it is tax-free, especially if it's tax-free across the board, and Trump did that, it would be an avalanche of funds going in there, especially by institutions, because they're going to, oh my God, they're going to tax-free gains from institutions. Like I know I made a video about this back in, I think, 2021, when I was saying like the crypto is basically going to have a version of like the S&P 500. It will certainly be a version of the S&P 500, because paying 28% or whatever when you're flipping stocks and compare it to 0% in crypto, yeah, a lot of money will be getting moved over for sure. Let's see, why y'all be scared to talk about Trump? Oh, not I. There's going to be a lot of Trump talk next year, I promise you. No, because I'm expecting some really good things here, especially this first, like I said, maybe like Q1 to like Q3. I'm expecting some really good things here, especially specifically because Trump is in office. And I'm not sure if it's the same. Let's see, I'm in there already. So you joined the Patreon? Yeah. So we've, especially with things like Tesla contracts and stuff, because since Trump won, we've been printing money on those Tesla options. So I want this to continue into 2025. Trust me. So there's going to be definitely some Trump talk here, especially around strategies and the investment, because I know how heavily the market is tied to his perception of success in the office here. So I know that this is going to be a focal point of the presidency. So and with us being in the market, I think that's going to be for the betterment of us if the market is growing. So hopefully this is going to be a great time here and kind of get like a redo for everyone that wasn't ready in 2016 to 2020. So what if I just keep it on a ledger and just spend it there, or just leave to Dubai? I'm going to have no comments on tax evasion. I'm gonna just hold my peace on that one. Thank you for sharing and teaching us your skills in stocks and trading on the market. Happy New Year to you. Thank you. Happy New Year. Well, some man, it better be for the people. Well, hey, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the tax-free gains for crypto. We'll see. We'll see. See, I bought a trust stamp at 16 cents in November. We hit $1.25 yesterday. Okay, y'all ain't eating. Okay. I'm not mad at it, man. Let's see here. I'm falling behind. So do you think the sentiment on tariffs will drive the market down? Maybe short term, but I think overall, if you look at the bigger picture and what it can do as far as to bringing jobs back to America, and kind of, because I kind of look at it from a couple of things here, and I'll probably talk about this in one of my upcoming episodes. I'll go a little bit deeper into it, but I think the biggest thing is going to be when you look at what capitalism has become compared to what it used to be, when it used to be, working. I'll say traditional. The goal was normally who could do the best product, make the best product at the best price. So it was necessarily a race of, providing quality and also cutting expenses here so that the price is competitive, so that you're offered the best of both worlds. And because you're able to have the best quality and do it cheaper, you made more money. And I think because now we've shipped so many jobs overseas and that the labor is cheaper and it's not a competition here for workforce. So you don't have to, so now it's not a competition in the private sector where jobs are competing by what they offer the working class to work there. Now it's just solely focused on profit, right? How do we drive profit? How do we raise margins? And I think that's kind of converted capitalism from what it used to be back in the day. So I think tariffs, when we have things like this, as far as for imports, coming into America, because it's going to be difficult to replace a lot of the things. It's if you say, especially depending on your business, if you say, oh, we're not going to do business with America anymore, you'll be hard pressed to replace that business somewhere else in the world. So I know there's the side of it that says, okay, they'll just raise costs and pass it on to the consumers. I believe in the short term, yes, that can work, but I think overall it'll encourage growth here, especially if it's sustained for a certain amount of time. It'll force growth here, and it'll be an opportunity here to have like that competition, not necessarily just on profit margins for the business, but also in getting the best people for the best job and offering them um, the things like whether that be like benefits or whatever the case may be for that industry, so that it's being competitive, so that you're attracting the best people, because that's what I meant by having the best product at the best price. Obviously you're going to be competing for the best people, so obviously you have to offer more when there's an abundance of jobs and industries there, or people are competing for these industries, versus having limited industries here and shipping them overseas to do it cheaper. It kind of removes that it kind of removes that incentive. So it's a couple ways you can look at it, right? So I think that'll be a really good thing to kind of monitor over the next few years, because that's certainly a two-sided coin. I'll save that for a specific episode, and that's something we can look at and go deeper into. So that should be pretty interesting. Let's see. I'm new here, so I learn. I'll be in tune when you post the next options video. Okay, absolutely. Doge to $7 in January. Hope so, right? Okay, so with that being said, for those of you that are just tuning in, again, if you want to come on the channel, and we're going to have some conversations here soon, here within the next couple of weeks. So if you're interested, I'm going to post my email again. Send me an email, especially if you're not camera shy or anything like that. You want to come on the channel, you want to have some conversations with me and some fellow people in the community. That's something that I'm going to bring to the channel here in 2025. So on certain days, we'll have kind of like an open discussion. We'll obviously have the chat going like we are now. But if you're not afraid to be on camera, that's certainly something you can let me know that you're interested in. And we will work out the details via email. My email, I'm posting it in the chat right now, nofluff2021 at gmail.com. Send me an email and we will work things out there. I appreciate all of you guys for rocking with me in 2024. I'm going to put out a schedule of how videos are going to flow weekly in the community section now. So you can expect certain things on certain days from me. I've been working on this over the last month or so. So I think this is going to be a good step forward for 2025. So with that being said, Happy New Year to everyone. I appreciate all of you guys, and I'll see you guys next year. Right? Have a good night.